in 10 years, to be honest, it's been a beautiful journey. We're going to be one of the top agencies in the world. It's the FourthCanvas guys, Fullgap guys, the guy from Accra is the Liverpool supporter.
The shots guy.
That's his opinion, writes daily shots. No human being is self-made. Forget the adjective self-made billionaire or anything. Stories are the fabric of our entire lives. Every time you share one more detail about your life, about your journey, people have additional material to piece the puzzle they're trying to piece together in their minds. So we run into people every day, but we don't pay enough attention. You one day will be making a direct sell to someone. Hey, buy this. That day is not today.
What are some of the biggest obstacles you face running a design agency in Nigeria?
It's plenty. That's taking 20 years to learn all of this. You see you, when you look at yourself in the mirror, alone by yourself, or when you're in the bath, you see that
Tell yourself the truth.
That you, that is only you. You will sit down and you will think about, because only you have the peculiarities of your life. You will make that decision and you'll be responsible for whichever way it turns out. Reputation takes time to build and happen to the world. If I could just park my current insights right now and just go back to 2013, I think I wouldn't.
Thank you for doing this with us.
I'm happy to be here.
Exciting to have you around. Big congratulations to you and your partners and the entire team at FourthCanvas. If I'm right, this month should be like a decade of doing FourthCanvas.
By November. So this year, yes.
This year would be a decade.
Yeah.
That's like 10 years of building a design agency. What has the journey been like?
It's been, I think someone asked me yesterday, how were you sure that this was going to succeed? And it was like, no, I wasn't sure. Yeah, it was one day at a time. Of course, at the very beginning, we had very grand visions. This could become really huge. We're going to be one of the top agencies in the world. But it was really almost wishful thinking in that sense. Like, of course, if you can imagine anything, you can as well make it as big as you can. But in terms of the practicality, this practical sustainability of it, we couldn't really be sure. So we just took it one day at a time. It's been a lot of like, many things have gone as we thought they would. Most things have gone not as we thought they would. There have been surprises, positive surprises, negative surprises. But most importantly, we've changed course a lot. So we decided to do something. 6 months in, we realized it's not working, we change. We have no attachments to a strategy. We also don't have any attachments to precedence. So we don't need something to have happened before for us to try it out, because we believe that everything that is called the standard or examples today, someone's tried it.
Yeah.
So it's been a journey of exploration, open-mindedness, stretching from our comfort zones, and
That's really interesting, right? You mentioned a lot about changing and then not following just standard, exploring new options, and then like building. Yeah, so you've built for about 10 years now, and then you started Fullgap in 2023. So you've done like a lot of amazing exploits. You strike me as someone that has high agency. You think of something, you want to do that. And also you shared the story of how you dropped out from Futa, and then you went on to build these great companies, right? So having a high agency, that word has piqued my interest too recently. So I'd love to know your thoughts about what is agency. Do you think you have it? Are people born with it, or can you like develop it?
I think everything is nature and nurture. Everything has a bit of something you were born with, and as well as things that you owned or refined over time. I've been writing almost daily these days, and one of my favorite writings was speaking about the army in our veins. So I feel, let's start from nature. I think every single person have a bit of everything, because whatever you're looking for, is it agency, is it courage, is it mental strength, is it creativity, is it passion, is it communication skills, is it analytical skills? Do you have a forefather that's doing that? You have composers, you have warriors, you have super high agency people, people with resilient spirits, whatever, name it. If you look up, down, your forefathers or foremothers, you find someone who has it. So, and your DNA bears everything that's come before you. Every tiny bit of everything. So I feel like almost every human is equipped to some extent with everything, with good and with evil. So whatever agency is a part of all of us. There will be higher degrees in different people. But then I think it can be owned. But to what it is in the first place, I think it's just the ability to happen to the world and not just wait for the world to happen to you. It's the ability to not wait for a permission, to wait for an instruction, and to just be able to be self-started. And being self-started means that you see a problem and you decide of your own will that you want to solve it. Or you were instructed to do something. And in doing it, you see something else that should be done and you do it. You were asked to do ABC. You're doing ABC. You see that C wouldn't work and you do ABD. And then you explain why you moved from ABC to ABD. It's just being able to happen to the world. I really like that statement, to be honest, because a lot of times when you leave, the problem with giving excuses is that you are talking about something that happened. You're talking about why you didn't do something. Oh, this thing happened. Oh, this thing fell down. Oh, this person said this. That's the word happening to you. But what I like to hear more, what you would hear more from agency people is, this happened, then I did this. You told me to do this, then I realized there's a lot of I seeing something, seeing a problem, solving it, seeing an opportunity, making the most of it, seeing a roadblock, asking for help, finding a problem, researching for solutions, being out of ideas, asking for the input of others. I think our agency is really just being able to, just do things. Just do things, really. Do I have it? I think I've exhibited a lot of it. Entrepreneurship requires our agency to start with, because you must be, it's not the default. Entrepreneurship is not the default. There's some level of craziness, to be honest, to say there's a part. The most popular part is the 9-to-5 part. And it is an incredible, important component of society. Like, most people work in jobs, and that's how the world moves around. There's no entrepreneurship without people who work with entrepreneurs. But to attempt to go through a route that has little or no predictability requires our agency to start with. It means that you've seen a problem and you decide, I'm going to build something to try and solve it. There are no templates. Sometimes startup founders or agency founders reach out to me and say, hey, Victor, I'm starting this. I was speaking with someone yesterday. Well, I'm starting this agency. I have some questions for you. I'm like, well, there's no templates. Whatever I tell you might not work for you. Yeah, you just have to continue to learn. So yeah, I would say I have it. And I've been taking many bold decisions in my life because I just saw it and it made sense to me. And then even dropping out of uni, many people, rightly so, were worried for me out of love, out of care. I couldn't find any examples around me. Yeah, there were foreign examples, but I understood that the reality here is different. And that's what people hammered into my ears. The reality here is different. Like, yeah, I can't find examples, but I thought through my decision. And I saw clearly that myself, for me, and what I was trying to do, that it made sense. It wouldn't make sense for just anybody in just any degree, or for what they're trying to do. I was being a graphic designer. I was serving businesses. So I understood that I was blowing away the cover of a certification with which I could hold to the world and get opportunities. In this case, what I was doing was visual. I knew if I did it well, my portfolio was as good as a certificate. My portfolio is what I show for the world to give me opportunities. Customer service, the reputation I earn from the business I served the last time, if I did a good job, the reviews I get from that is a certification with which I get new clients. New client doesn't come and say, hey, which school did you finish from? It doesn't matter.
What have you done?
Yes. So I was going the route of a career that proves itself visually, and the business side of it, which also proves itself based on word of mouth and customer service success. And I was looking at these two things, I'm like, no, there's no way I'm regretting leaving school. It worked for me in my time and for my reasons. It had to be a very personal, not templated decision to make, and that's our agency.
It must take a lot of boldness and courage to actually make that move to drop out. So where did you find that courage?
First, it's nice to be hailed for boldness and courage. And it's nice for me to just smile back and say, yeah, I was bold and courageous. But yes, I was bold and courageous. But I feel like it wasn't just all boldness and courage. It was understanding. It was also clarity. Yeah, clarity. If you pointed a gun at me right now, and I'm just smiling, the picture looks like, what? In the face of a gun? Why is he smiling? Why is he calm? But imagine that, unknown to you, I was aware you had a gun, and a while ago, I had secretly removed the bullets in your gun. Is that courage? When I'm smiling at you pointing it at me, it's not courage. I know what you don't know. I know that even though you don't know that what you're pointing a piece of metal at me that has no impact.
Nothing.
So it's not really courage. I think there's still some courage in it. I'm not even trying to be humble or anything. Yeah, I'm courageous, right? But it was more like, when people call it courage, they're like, I would have been afraid to drop out, but you dropped out, so you're courageous. But for me, I was like, you would have been afraid. Thanks. I wasn't afraid. Because courage is being afraid and doing it anyway. But I wasn't afraid. I looked at the fears people were trying to project to me, and I saw through it. And I had my own answers. The medical students dropping out would have been a different ball game. There's no other way, except if you wanted to practice medicine. There's no other way to practice medicine without certification.
Maybe if you want to do something else.
Except if you want to do something else that could be self-proven, right? But I was just like, this thing I'm trying to do, there's nothing stopping me if I just did it well. It was so clear. So it wasn't courage. It was that I just looked at it carefully. And I think that ties back into agency again. We can't live our lives based on popular beliefs or popular fears. Where do the majority of people stand? The majority of people sit below in the pyramid of life, to put it like that. There's like a top 4% or top 10% in the world, and then 90% is everybody else. So if an idea or a belief is popular, it means it's popularized and reinforced by the majority of people. If you're trying to be great, you're not trying to be in the 90% to start with. So why should a popular notion have such a stronghold on you? If it's popular, the chances are even high that it is not useful for you and where you're going. So you can't be pressured by an opinion or a fear popularly held. You need to study and think and reflect. And that's what I did back then. And so when people were scared for me, I was like, you guys have just not thought about what you are saying well enough. If you have, and you understood my position well, you would have no reason to be scared for me. Yeah. I should add, when I speak about, if you went back now, will you drop out again? I think I have even further deeper layers of wisdom now that if I could just pack my current insights right now and just go back to 2013, I think I wouldn't leave school. Interestingly. I wouldn't leave school because now I run two businesses, FourthCanvas and Fullgap. I struggle to juggle both. So sometimes I'm like, there's always high intense on Fullgap at this moment and not so much on FourthCanvas. I'm high intense on FourthCanvas at this moment, not so much on Fullgap. And it's tough, and I'm figuring that out. They both benefit each other in very beautiful ways, so it makes sense that I've continued to run both. But I'm like, okay, now you're juggling, even within FourthCanvas, within all of them, I'm juggling so many things in my life right now. I'm learning on the job. But I'm like, okay, imagine, because I left school because I was getting a lot more opportunities in the graphic designing, and I wasn't ready to be doing the chores my lecturers were giving me. So I had to choose, and like, this is the route. But if I went back now, I would have forcefully stayed and tried to still maximize those design opportunities. And then it would have built resilience. It would have built that skill of managing multiple things at the same time. I would have had to make a lot more sacrifices. Maybe I learned the social side of things. I feel like I would have just built more discipline and resilience and ability to juggle so many things. So for what it might have brought out of me, if I went back, I wouldn't drop out. But when I dropped out, I just knew that I wasn't going to regret it. And I have not. And I don't think I will.
That's powerful and insightful. I also love to know your advice. If there's a young person out there in school, federal university, polytechnic, state university, they now they are very skillful, whether in design, coding, whatever, and they feel like they also want to drop out.
I tell them? So here's the first thing we have to understand about life, I think. First, there's no absolute right decision or absolute wrong decision. There are pros and cons to everything. So I feel like if you have some skill and you're so good at it and you're getting engrossed with it, and school is feeling like a distraction, if you want to drop out, fine. It's even easier in 2025 than it was in 2013 for me. And the reason is it's clearer. The walls have been broken way even much more further. So when I left school, big companies are not yet started announcing that they no longer needed degrees. Many years after that has been the norm. And when I left school, there weren't tech companies in Nigeria, like in the form that we have today. There were traditional hardware tech companies. There weren't, PiggyVest didn't even exist. Many of the clients right now that we serve don't even exist. the mindset of the organizations then was a lot more rigid. There wasn't AI wasn't mainstream, right? Now you could do a lot more with AI. Social media, there was social media, but social media is way more powerful right now. You know, there weren't influencers in 2013 in Nigeria, people whose careers, they were like some skit makers, but there weren't as many as we have now. There weren't as many podcasters. There's so much more things you could do with your life right now. Like there's so much, like, I mean, there's many option B's and option C's, much more. So the risk is way lower for anyone right now who chooses to leave school. So the pro is, if you leave school, you immediately get consumed by that new thing that you love, and your coding and your design, whatever it is, and then you enjoy it, and then you can give it more focus, and then you can explore more opportunities. That's the pro. But the con, I think you'll be fine. First is that you need to, when I left school, I continued to work as hard or harder than my classmates. So they were doing 10 papers, I was writing proposals. They were reading the big books, I was reading Richard Branson. They were waking up in the morning to go to class, I was waking up in the morning to do client work. They were staying up all night to prepare for exam, I was staying up all night to meet my clients' deadlines, right? Now I sound like I was super serious then, not as much. Thanks, Bolaji was really critical and helping me to be as serious, but like I was working hard as well. So I feel like if you leave school and you work really hard and you keep an open mind, because the strategy which you add, what you add as a plan when you left school might not be what will eventually work for you. You eventually, if you're staying open, you'll be fine. You'll be very fine. So I would say, if somebody's watching this and like, I'm considering to drop out, my first thing is you will be fine. Also, however, if you stayed, it could prepare you better for life in 10 years' time, when you're going to be juggling personal life with work life. You might be in a job and then have a business, and then you have a family, and then you have friends, and there's faith, and there's sports, there's your health. You don't know, you might have challenges, and you have some regiments and some processes to follow. You might be involved politically. There will be a lot on your table at once. So right now, you have school, you have coding, you have school, you have design, you want to leave school for it. Well, if you just found a way to do both, which is incredibly hard, you might be building some muscle that you will need in the future. So for that, stay. If you also don't stay, you'll be fine. So it's like you could throw a dice. There's a pro waiting, there's the advantages waiting, there's advantages waiting. At the end, you alone by yourself are going to have to make that decision. It's not going to be because Victor said it, or Josh said it, or Mark Zuckerberg said it, or somebody did it, or some other guy did it, or some friend told you this, or your pastor told this, or your dad. It is, you see, you when you look at yourself in the mirror alone by yourself, or when you're in the bath, you see that
tell yourself the truth,
that is only you will sit down and you will think about, because only you has the peculiarities of your life, your strengths, your experiences, the factors surrounding you, your parents. There's so much. So there's no replica. Even if you're a twin, your life is different from your twin brother or your twin sister. So you will make that decision, and you'll be responsible for whichever way it turns out. So we need to take more time to think and be responsible and to make our choices, whether it's popular or not.
Yeah, I'd love to explore your early influences. Yeah, you found design early. You're great at storytelling. You've gone on to build businesses. Okay. Yeah, so what were the early influences that sparked your love for design, storytelling, entrepreneurship?
I actually like that question. That's my favorite question to ask people. Yeah, I want to know, what are your formative experiences? I really like that question. For design, I have a taste for visually beautiful things. There's design, there's architecture, there's nature, there is fashion, there is art. Just beauty, visual beauty. The influences include, to start with, I think first there was some nature, because we had a library at home, and when I spent time in that library, I'm sure my parents thought I was reading, but I was flipping through the illustrated pages, the drawings and the diagrams and the annotations. We had the word maps, encyclopedias, And and then the newspapers. I liked the sports sections and the javelin thrower, Serena Williams, Venus Williams sisters, Williams sisters, JJ Okocha. I loved all of those visuals. I like how the text was laid out. Of course, I didn't call it layouts or anything. I just liked all of these things. There was a lot of paper around me growing up. And I think most kids get gravitated. Every child is an artist. Every child is born an artist, they say. And then I was just privileged to keep mine. I didn't lose my artistry in that sense. I continued to pursue it. And at some point, I would cut photos from inside old newspapers and paste it inside exercise books. In class, I like to write, welcome to second term, welcome to third term. I would design a whole page for it. So I was just that kid. Then I also grew up in a village. And the story is that my dad is a king. And so we lived in a village, right? And yeah, when I say I have to add that, because if I say I grew up in a village, you might just think, okay, I just grew up rural and poor and I think we're more middle class. Okay. So I had some advantage growing up. Yeah, I grew up in a village, but in the palace it was slightly different from the reality of the average reality in the village. So it meant, yes, I grew up in a village, but we had a library, we had encyclopedias, I had access to cable TV, and all of that. So it was a mix of both. But it meant that I had an appreciation for life was slow. You walked into school, there are goats on the road, it was just very slow. And it was on top of a mountain, and then there was a lot of observation of nature. There's a lot of observation of, it was like you greeted people, like you greeted older people, people greet you. Yeah, everybody knew you, everybody asked you to greet your dad when you get on. So there was just this very slow, careful, this kind of life that kind of encouraged careful observation, taking things. It wasn't fast like people who grew up in Lagos, which I assume that the fast buses and all of that.
Wake up early.
Yeah, speed was. Late. I never had to wake up early. Like school is 8 or so. I could leave there at 7:55. It's a 5 minutes walk.
And then get to school.
So I think all of that made me pay attention a lot more. And I don't know. That's for design. Yeah. That's for the visual beauty of things. For stories, I don't know where it came from. I don't know. By now I read things. I didn't read fiction. I did not. Again, I didn't read any of those things. I just looked at the visuals. For stories, I think this is where the stories came from. When I left the village, I went to boarding house. Boarding house was also inside a forest, in the middle of a forest, somewhere not far from my village. And I met people from different parts of the world. And they told me stories. Most of them were lies, fables. I didn't know. I believed everything. And as they described those stories around the bunks, I listened with keen attention. I took everything and I painted pictures of everything they were saying. Oh, your dad had 200 cars.
You can't imagine 200 cars.
Parking in your garage. I remember this senior that said his dad was a goalkeeper for Super Eagles or something, and JJ Okocha was playing like 10 penalties, couldn't score any, or something like that. And I always pictured those things. Then I think by the time I got to uni, now I had in my past boarding house. Then I had preceding boarding house, village life. But now in uni, Futa, things were already now like, Accra is not Lagos, but it's already like relatively urban to where I was coming from. I think I enjoyed looking back a lot. I enjoyed remembering boarding house. I enjoyed remembering that old life. And so I took joy in telling of it. I took joy in telling stories of the things that happened in secondary school. So, and I told the stories a lot, I think. And then, I just really enjoyed describing what happened. And I guess the more you describe what happened, that's a story. When you say what happened yesterday, that's a story. And that just became storytelling. I just enjoyed really telling. But I wouldn't be able to tell what formative experiences really influenced that.
How much impact has being able to tell stories made on your businesses, your life, relationship with friends, brands?
Storytelling is powerful. It's given me a huge advantage in everything. Yeah, businesses, work life, convincing a client, for example, explaining a concept, a design concept, explaining what we're trying to do to investors. And because stories are the fabric of our lives. We were all born, we grew up, we were told about money. We just grew up and human beings showed you money. and said, this is something you work hard for. And then this is something you give the woman on the street and she gives you food. You were told stories and you were handed paper and you also believed it. And when you handed it over to the person, the person had also heard stories of what this paper can do. So the person collects it from you and give you his or her goods or services, believing a story that this paper is valuable. And when they give the person will accept it. The next person also accepts it because all their lives have been told the story that this thing is valuable.
Can also do so.
Then you hear the story that, okay, this blue one that is 1,000 naira can do 5 times what this one that is 200 naira can do. Then one day you see the dollar and you hear the story of America and you hear this one is way more valuable and it can do way more things. And then one day they tell you there's an election. You're like, what's an election? Oh, they're like, we're determining who is the president. Okay, what's a president? And then you hear a story of what presidents are. And there's a constitution. And this is what the president can do. You know? On and on. You see someone dressed a certain way on the road and you're like, you've heard stories. That's a soldier. Soldiers can do this and get away with it. You see a policeman and then you've heard story. Okay, that guy, when he says I should stop, I have to stop. You've also heard stories that if I give him some money, he will also let me go. Again, stories. And then you've heard stories of that guy might not take money, you know, they're more strict. All our lives are stories. You meet an uncle, but you've heard some gist about what they said about that uncle. And then you think, oh, that's a good uncle. Or no, this auntie's ash. Or they did do something to you, but then you saved it in your head, and then it becomes a story. Or your brother said, that auntie beat me yesterday, and now you move carefully around the auntie, based on the story your brother said. Our entire lives, because without stories, we would have to investigate every single thing. We don't have the capacity to investigate every single thing. So when you see a policeman on the road, you don't have the ability to check for his name in the database of police officers. None of us has gone to check the acts or the section in the Constitution that gave police officers the powers to do whatever it is they are doing. Do you understand? Yeah. Imagine that you told me you finished from physiotherapy, you know where you. Imagine that once I hear that, for me to accept it, I have to do an online research to find your name in the register of.
To be sure that I really went.
Did you just lie to me? Did you not? No, we don't have the time to do that. You told me this podcast has had 12 episodes published in a season. Yeah. I did not go to Spotify to confirm first. I believed you, and I'm already looking forward to mine. All our lives, you see a logo of an eatery, and then because of what you've heard about that eatery before, you're like, okay, the food is going to taste good. Otherwise, you would have to wait at the door, let people come out, go and interview them. Does it taste right? Do you know how complex life would be if you had to investigate everything? Yeah. So we don't investigate anything. We can't investigate anything. We just possibly can't. You fight hard to get an MBA or to get a particular certification because the rest stories that those who get it have an advantage in life. You fight hard to apply and get a job in a company because you've heard stories of those who work in those companies and it was good. Stories are effective because stories are the fabric of our entire lives. Now, your ability, my ability to present ourselves, our products, our services, our intentions, adding stories helps the other person listening to paint pictures in their minds. We could just say, hey, have this, buy, or have this, invest.
Or choose.
Or this, just choose, and we could stop. But we're not given the material to imagine. But we could say, in 2015, I did this, this, and this. Then one day, I realized this. Then I thought I would do something about it. Then the first year, I served 100 people. And I realized this and this and this. Then I met my partner. And together we did this. And now we're imagining this and that and this. You're painting a picture in the minds of the people. So every time you share one more detail about your life, about your journey, people have additional material to piece the puzzle they're trying to piece together in their minds, to imagine. And then when they imagine, you have a higher chance of convincing them, of compelling them, of inspiring them.
A lot of people struggle with telling their stories, especially in an authentic way. And just as you share, stories are very powerful. Steve Jobs, how we sold the idea of an iPhone. Stories are now used in a lot in marketing new products and all of that. So for our listeners now, people that they want to become great at storytelling, what are 2 to 3 practical steps that they can take to know how to tell their story better?
Step one, buy my course.
Where is it hosted at?
Yeah, I can have a course on Seller.
Oh,
Victor Fatanmi
beautiful.
Storytelling, you find it. But the different pieces that make a story. This is how you should think about it. When you watch a movie, there's something called character building. You know, for most movies are 2 hours, right? And for any movie, go and check it. For the first 15 or 30 minutes, there isn't going to be much happening. The action doesn't begin fast. You see a normal life. You see a father kisses the head of his child while leaving home, drives in the car in the rain, gets to work, receives a call. They might say his rent is due. He might crack a joke somewhere. They might show his car on his hand. He might go drink at night and he looks tired. The what is happening is before the action starts, you are being given material for you to make some assumptions about this character, for you to know this character. Now you are forming, he's a family man. Okay, he tucks his children in bed at night. At work, they might show him delivering very fast to his boss. At some point, they might show him looking at a colleague in a lustful way. And then you're like, okay, something. This guy. Start to imagine. Okay, this guy, or maybe someone is doing something and he looks away. He's focused. He's strong-willed. They're giving us suggestions, and then you start to choose whether you want to be a fan, whether you want to be on the side of this person, or if the movie starts to show you this person as a bad person. Maybe they're backbiting already. Maybe they kiss their wife going to work and then they call someone else in car and they just say, like, this guy's a cheat. Character building is what storytelling is in real life. Now, but the reason a movie maker does, the perfect example for storytelling is movies. And series are even worse. Like series, they stretch that building. They
give you different details in between.
So many angles. That's how, if you want to do the storytelling for yourself, think about it from that side, which is, the reason movies take their time to show the different sides is so that when this character faces a problem or presents a case, you have built a case for them in your mind, right? That now you might support their attempt to face a challenge, or you might oppose it. You might be rooting for them or not. In life, you one day will be making a direct sell to someone. Hey, buy this. That day is not today. One day you might be making a case to an investor, invest in this. That is not yet today. In fact, preferably not yet, because sometimes we jump and we rush to sell on social media. No. You're doing like a movie that starts and just shows an immediate challenge and there's an action. You're like, okay, imagine that at the beginning of a movie, like you don't have a reason to care about the character already and it's already facing problems. So you don't root for the character. You're just like, okay, let's see what happens. There's a reason they make you love a character first before the character faces death. Right? So if you directly go online and you just sell, okay. But think about your storytelling as character building. You're helping your audience to form a picture about you. So it means that storytelling is you showing the different sides of you in bits and pieces consistently over time. So today you introduce yourself. Hi, my name is this. I'm from here. This is what I do. This is a short introduction, right? So, data one in my head. I'm seeing your post for the first time. Oh, this guy said this. Okay, noted. Tomorrow, you share a memory. In school back then, I was president of my fellowship. I remember this. That was my first time interacting with a large group, and I learned this, and this. Remember, I'm like, okay, he was a leader in school. Noted. I'm not doing it consciously, but there's a library. The day after, you're like, I don't understand people who eat beans and plantain. Like, what's the fuss about it? Like, these things taste like rubber in my mouth. Maybe I disagree with you. Maybe I like plantain. I'm like, this guy doesn't like plantain. But still data. Tomorrow, you're like, oh, Liverpool is playing. You're like, you make a comment about Mohamed Salah. Oh, this guy loves football. Okay. The other day, you're reading a Nelson Mandela book. You post a picture from it. I'm like, oh, this guy reads. The following day, you share a reflection. I was taking a walk and I was just reflecting on how this. I'm like, okay, it works. Okay, so yes, these are his opinions about things. The following day, you are grateful. You share gratitude. You know, I remember this teacher, or last week, I had some really hectic day at work, and my head of whatever was super supportive. Okay, he's appreciative. Okay, he works hard. Now the idea is share different parts of you. Of course, keep confidential things. There are personal things, but there are a lot of things that are not confidential. There's so many materials for you to share bits and pieces of you. Here's the thing. If Josh have been seeing bits and pieces of you on the internet over time, the day you slide in my DM and you make a case for something, this is a Josh. Let's say you go to the gym as well and then you share. If I'd not seen any of those posts, this is some random Josh proposing this. But if I've seen all of those, this is, Josh, the guy who walks out, who reached Nelson Mandela, who has his opinion, who was a leader as far back as 10 years. All that material gives me context. And then it might increase my appreciation of the direct sale that you're making now. In your case, when you reached out for this podcast, I didn't know anything about you, but you were referred by someone who I knew so much about, Tunji. And then in that moment, they transfer every respect and I know Tunji so well. So it doesn't matter again that I know you so well or not. But that familiarity, you could have established it even without Tunji introducing you. If I had been, for the past few years, there had been some guy that just shared, and I had run into your page sometime, and I had just followed you. And you just done that, and just done that, and just done that. And then the day you reach out to me, there's context. That's storytelling. There are different sides to it. Some people think storytelling is just sharing thoughts only, carousels and posts and education. Well, that's just one side, and that's a bit boring. If that's all you just share, if it's really good stuff, over time we might at least know that, okay, this guy's an expert. That's all we know about him. About he's an expert.
So I'm following for that.
Yeah, you can. You won't love him, but you will respect that he's an expert. So there are different strategies. But I feel like for every day, all of us, or you're learning, or even you're still a beginner or something, just share bits and pieces.
Hello, sorry for the break. I know you're enjoying the episode. Please, if you haven't subscribed, please just hit the subscribe button, click the like button, and also leave a comment. Share to friends and family. It goes a long way to help the channel. You can get right back into the video.
Don't spend so much time on social media that you don't spend time on the work itself. Social media is not more important than the work, but it is important. Just create some time. Come in the evening or come every 2 days. Just share something, drop something, and then interact with other people's stories. So you're sharing bits and pieces of yourself. There are other human beings sharing bits and pieces of yourself. Interact with them. Ask them a question. Compliment something. If you're curious about something, express your curiosity. In your responses as well, other people are seeing your responses and forming further opinions about you. When people think about me now, so much comes to their mind. It's the FourthCanvas guy, it's the Fullgap guy, it's the guy from Korea, it's the Liverpool supporter.
The shorts guy.
He has his opinion, he writes daily shorts. He wears maybe big trousers. He used to have dreads, and then one day he decided to cut his dreads. And then he went afro, and then he went this, and then he wrote this story, and then they explained this. There's so much data. If you mention my name or you see my face, so much comes to your mind. All of that has been built over the years. So when I slide in your DM and I invite you to speak somewhere, and I say invest in my startup, and I say do this, or you have my company and you reach out to FourthCanvas to rebrand, so much data is in your head as you're analyzing it. Sometimes it might be good data, it might not be good data, but storytelling is building your character for your audience, bits and pieces, daily or weekly, consistently. Let me add one last thing into this long-winded answer, is that it can be a little strategic as well. There's the part where don't think too much about the strategy, just share bits of yourself. And there's a part of who do I want to be in the minds of people? I want to be perceived as this. Okay, because of that, I will share more of this. One challenge you might encounter when you start to share your stories is that you would meet 0 likes or 0 comments because you don't have many followers. But Your social media is like an open portfolio. It's like an open documentary. So imagine that you share the next 10 things and you have no engagement. You're not sharing for engagement. You're sharing as documentary of your life, of your journey. Again, like I said, the day you don't enter my email, my box to send a code message, making a case for something, or you do that to anybody else, or you comment, the first thing they will do is they will click your profile
and check.
and they will scroll through the things you've been posting for the past 6 months that nobody engaged with. They wouldn't judge it by whether people are engaged by it or not. They're just trying to understand you. So the quality of what you post, the consistency of what you post matters, because you might not get attention. Your followers might remain under 100, under 200 for months, but you are documenting your life so that the day you are considered for something, there's material to check, to know you, to understand you, and to consider you. Otherwise, you're just like a ghost. It's like, who is this person? This person could be anybody at all. All I have is a name and a message that could have been copied and pasted from a template. As you get me.
That's very insightful, right?
Yeah.
Victor just
I've given you the
dropped.
course
Exactly.
already.
He gave us the full course. Yeah, but thank you very much, Victor. I'm sure a lot of people that would watch this would find
I want to watch it myself so that I can learn from what I said.
found valuable. Thank you so much. Let's talk a bit about running a design agency, right? Nigeria is a very interesting place. A lot of infrastructure issues, challenges here and there. What are some of the biggest obstacles you faced running a design agency in Nigeria, and how did you pull through them?
Okay. Challenges running an agency.
Yeah,
Plenty.
I can imagine.
It is a lot. First challenge is that you need to spend time to mature. You, your agency, you and your team. And maturity takes time. And without maturity, there's a type of clientele that you cannot access. And maturity is a lot of exposure and a lot of taste, and that's acquired over time. So you have to live through a period of time where you can't access the kind of people you want to work with just because your work is not matured enough to attract them. So patience over time is incredible. You understand what you're trying to do on a surface level, but maturity comes over time. Depth comes over time. And most importantly, even as you acquire that depth, which you can acquire fast by reading a lot, and we did a lot of it, reputation takes time to build. Because you're trying to sell, what you're trying to sell is consulting, is intangible, and trust is critical, especially for you to command the kind of value you want to command. And people are going to observe you for years before they really trust you enough. So the biggest challenge is patience. The ability to continue to sow the seed and wait a longer time before you reap. It's like growing a tree. It takes maybe 7 years to grow a tree. So the first thing I would say is just patience. Growing an agency, there's nothing microwavy about it. It's not like you throw it in, it comes out fast. You have to just wait things out. The number 2 would be focusing on yourself. That's difficult because running an agency, you are inundated with the client's work. Whether it's one client that has a lot and all that's stressing you, that's stretching you, let me use that, or you have many clients, you will always prioritize your clients over yourself. But the interesting thing is all the consulting you're doing for your clients, all the work and brand work and positioning you're doing for your clients, you have to treat yourself, your agency, as a client as well. And it's so difficult for designers, creators, or agencies to look inward and serve themselves. So whether you have people in the team focused on yourselves, or you as leader would focus on yourself, that's something that is hard to find the balance of serving clients and actually serving yourself, because you need to serve yourself. First, it is impressive when you are an example of what you're trying to offer people. Also, by consulting for yourself and serving yourself, which we have done more of recently, you increase your chances. Because these things we do for clients are really valuable. So when you do for yourself as well, you increase your own chances. Valuable. The other thing that's run an agency is you get projects, and projects are exciting. But projects are not sustainable. It's not sustainable income. Projects come, big money, and go. You will spend longer always than you plan to spend on it. The money will stretch. Retainers, where you have an arrangement where you are constantly serving the client something, is much more sustainable financially. But retainers are boring. Oftentimes, it's more exciting to create something new or to change something.
Or keep doing the same thing.
But to now keep applying that same thing that you have established, it's a little boring. And also, there's less market for retainers because most businesses want to do things internally. The economy is not mature enough for businesses to want to combine. They see it as a competition, almost like it's either internal or external, not a combination. Which you get it. It's maturity. Maturity of them understanding the value of an external agency, the expertise, and seeing that more can come by combining. There's also just the mindset of saying, I have people internally now. Why am I paying someone monthly to do this? So what companies come to agencies more for is when they want to change or create a new system. How do you serve them in a way that your value is continuously clear, even on an ongoing basis? You need that maturity I spoke about at the beginning for you to give them the kind of value that can show how you can continue to give value. The value you can give as an agency continuously is not going to be the basic top level things that you can get people to do internally. It's a lot more. And you see, there's a lot of gray areas to figuring that out. And it just takes time. You can't do anything about it. It just takes time. There are not books or guides that can tell you enough about how to make an agency work in Nigeria. We will write ours eventually, and it would be useful. Hopefully, we'll make it easier for people coming. But when we were building, and as we have built, what you find documented is agencies abroad. And the context is very much different from us. The economies are way much more matured. So I think the biggest challenge is that there are no templates. We had no templates. Existing agencies in Nigeria were not the type of agencies that we were building. They were media agencies, they were advertising agencies. We could learn some things from them. We learned a lot from, I learned a lot from Red Media Africa, from my mentors, Chude Jido, co-founder, Sadebola Williams. What we were running was different from what we were trying to run. They're just wearing agencies, send agencies, and they weren't enough. Or the ones that were didn't openly document or share what they were getting right and how they were getting it right. So the biggest challenge on an agency is figuring everything out right by yourself on the go. And then realizing that what you figured out today, by tomorrow, you realize that it's not as, you figure out something today and you're like, yes, we have the answer. Yeah, let's do this after that. Not quite. Then you have to find another answer. So, but in 10 years, to be honest, it's been a beautiful journey. It's been a journey of attaining maturity. Like I said in the third video that I gave at Covenant University, though, I feel like, okay, we're at a higher level of clarity and wisdom now. But in 3 years, it will be like, we just arrived at clarity. Again. And then in 6 years, we'll be like, finally. And then in 10 years, we're like, that's taking 20 years to learn all of this. In 30 years, it probably will feel the same way again. It's ongoing, It never ends. Yeah, that's how I can describe it.
Yeah, I think that's like very powerful and insightful for anyone about taking us through.
One more challenge. Sorry to cut you. I want to share everything that comes to my mind. Finding the balance, for me, I started as a graphic designer. Finding the balance between the design itself, which you love, and then the copywriting, which I really love, and then the actual work, and leading the business, which is not anything about design. The sales, the marketing of it, the client management of it, the operations of it. Balaji came in, brought operational excellence and structure, my co-founder. And thankfully, I then had people like Mary and Tunji, you grew up with the company as well, could then do more of the designing while I was doing client management and sales. And I also had people come in. Now I'm able to be very, very top level while being involved on a basis of what I want to be involved in. But yeah, just growing through all that period of, doing less of the thing you were doing on day one and having to doing less execution and more business. Striking the right balance between that is, something again that is challenging.
You mentioned Balaji at different times.
Yeah.
And then you talked about Mary, Tunji, some of your early guys that grew with you, right? How did you find your people? Taking on the right talent, your company, finding the right people to build with goes a long way to determine whether you'll be successful in any endeavor or not. So how do you find the right people and how do you grow with them?
I was listening to a podcast today. Balaji was playing. I mentioned Balaji again. And I listened. I was talking about expect the best of people. Have a frame of mind that is, optimism is good, actually. Expect the best of people. Look out for the best of people. See the best of people. And that's my frame. So first, when people come into my life or I encounter people, I'm looking out for the best in them. And then in some cases, I would find, in most cases, everybody has good stuff to find out in them, in most cases. But then you would, from that frame, it's easier to see the people who have a truckload of it, a truckload of goodness. First, that's what you're already looking out for. And like I said, you will find some of it in everyone. But because that's what you're looking out for those who come with a shipment of it, it is so clear for you to see, because that's already what you are looking out for. And then there is goodness that you are lacking in, which is areas of your own weaknesses. Again, because you are in that frame of someone walks into your life and what you're looking for is the good stuff. When they have good stuff in areas where you are not so strong, and it's also easier for you to spot that. That's the case of Balaji. Balaji and I met by random hostel allocation. Just met in the hostel. Roommates. I was cutting in the room, by the way. And then, it's just more serious guy, not so much into creative stuff, very straight, whatever. And then I'm more creative, not so much into structured stuff. And so it was this guy is strong in areas I'm not strong, and I'm strong in areas he's not strong. And then he started to just support me, no co-founding arrangement or anything, tried to just support me with all of that boring structural things that I didn't like. And then that was it was the most natural co-founding ever. Like, you have what I don't have, I have what you don't have. Or we're both mutually interested in what this could become. And when we shared values, and then we read similar books, and then we're first friends. It's easier that way. That's the story for Balaji. For Tunji reached out on Instagram. I even aired him at some point, and I think I was supposed to meet someday, and then I didn't show up. It was all of that. And then at some point we had an emergency need for a designer. Then I reached out back to him, and he came and he helped out. And in that immediate sense, what we really needed was someone to just work on a particular project. But then it was clear again that he had what we didn't have. We had designers, but we didn't have speed. We didn't have. We had so much when efficient, and then he came with a lot of efficiency. It's okay, I was creative, but I could also get things done. And we had a lot of we're working with an agency in Lagos. We had a lot of need for speed as well, and then much more. It was also clear to then see his humanity, to then see the other soft skills, leadership. We had a good relationship with people. So I think it was the case of many people have come into my life. And then a few of them have stuck, in quotes, Mary comes in. I'm sure that in those days, we didn't assure anybody, you had job security. We're sure this is a long, long thing, But it was just okay, you come in okay, there's something here. This person is special. This person adds something that we didn't have. Someone adds a new angle. And then they start to be themselves, which, because I'm looking out for their good, the environment feels comfortable and convenient for them to be themselves. And then they pour out their whole selves. And then it's easier to see, and then I give them more platforms to be who they want to be, give them more leadership opportunities, and then that's just how it just grows. And then I pour myself as well into them, allow them pour themselves into myself, into us, which is important. So, because some leaders teach what they know, they teach people, but they don't let those people teach them back. It's supposed to be a two-way street. So I would say it has been a lot, talking about people, a lot of it is random to start with, or God ordained. A lot of it is not your own doing. You just randomly, okay, hostel allocation.
Yeah, and then you meet
Tunji
someone.
DMs me on Instagram. And then Tunji DMs Mary because they met at campus, because, church. And then there's just things that you didn't plan. But we all have random people that come into our lives daily. But you then need the eye and the awareness to see for yourself when you've met someone special. Or do you know someone special? Someone amazing. Oftentimes they bring a lot of things that you don't have. Sometimes they strengthen the existing system.
Sure, already.
So I think I'm very good with just noticing people, just seeing people. This guy is so organized. This other guy is so structured. Oh, this other guy is so boundless in our thinking. Oh, this other person is so warm. So it's just like looking out, being present, being observant. And then the special ones, and then you hold them closer. You respect them, give them opportunities to be themselves. Yeah, support them. Teach them. Let them teach you. Be friends with them.
Absolutely, I agree to that. A lot of times it's random, just like meeting people randomly. Things just happen.
And we all do.
Might be in events,
We all do. We run into people every day, but we don't pay enough attention. You are spending so much time trying to talk about yourself. You're not listening when the other person is speaking. Someone is talking to you, you're planning your response. You're not really listening to what they're saying. Someone is interacting with someone else in your front. You're not observing. You're not seeing that that person carefully handled that situation. That's a strength. You're not seeing the care for detail that this person just expressed in the way they just did something. You're not paying attention. Maybe you're even on your phone, or you're thinking so much about yourself.
Talk about great people you've met over the journey. How much of impact have they made? Yeah, because a lot of people, they just maybe try to run solo. Some people work remotely, they're just doing their own thing. But then you are like supporting your own. You've talked about pouring to people, they're pouring back to you. Like how much of impact has community, whether it's with family, with friends, how much of impact has it made in your career journey?
I think first we're social animals to start with. So there's just really more joy, fulfillment, happiness in doing things with other human beings. But it just feels good to start with, and it makes the journey easier, as opposed to being locked in your garage in a dark room by yourself. For a whole year. I don't know. I can't survive that. First, there's just beauty in doing stuff with other people. The other advantage of doing stuff with other people is that based on nature and nurture, we all have different strengths and different weaknesses. So whatever it is, you are positioned for more formidability if you're doing stuff with other human beings. Because every day you are benefiting from the different strengths. And then you're also giving. So it's like it's not even a one-way thing. So it's like you're gaining for so many people, but they are all also gaining from you. And then that's a stronger system. You're learning from them, they're learning from you. You're covering for their weaknesses, they're covering for your weaknesses. Their strengths that's coming from your weaknesses is also teaching you. Meaning your weaknesses are also becoming less weaknesses. That's something with Bolaji and I, for example. Like I said, when we met, Bolaji was just structured. He was in man of war, he wanted to join the Nigerian military. He had no taste for design or any creative flair. I was so much in the creative guy, zero organization. Today I'm way more organized. Still not as organized as he is though. Is way more, it gives a lot of creative direction on the team. It's the director of operations, right? But it gives really good, high quality creative advice on projects, right? So it's fun. It's a happier life to do stuff with other people. And it's a much more equipped life. There's just so much to gain. There's so much to gain, there's so much to give. When you do stuff with many people, because different people, there's a quote that says, every person you meet knows something more than you. Everybody, like anybody. Think of the lowest classification of someone you can think of, like go to the park, go to the streets. People you might think, there's nothing. There's something. That guy on the street, that guy that's like an area boy or something. There's something he knows that you don't know. There's some area in which he's your master. So the more you allow yourself first notice and be there and do stuff with other human beings, the stronger you can be.
I was listening to a podcast, I think yesterday too, where the person shared that there's no how you need people to do something really big and something really great.
You have
Then
no
if you
option.
if you check some of the biggest companies, let's say Apple, the founders, the max though, maybe Elon Musk has about 20% in Tesla, but check other companies, Amazon, it's just little percentage. That means over time they've had to spread it out to other people, people that can join them to build that company, and that's why they can last
and every one of
several
them,
years.
It's either they are co-founders, not one person, or in the case when it's one person, there's a major investor. There's a guy who gave more than money and gave advice and gave
experience,
presence and gave this, there's always other people. Even sports like tennis that is individual based, there's a coach, there's a crew, there's some
training team, even basketball, they have their entire...
Do you understand? Everything. There's nothing, no human being is self-made. Forget the adjective self-made billionaire or anything. Some people have done it with less help. Nobody's self-made. The moment you are born, you're not self-made. You're born with the DNA of like thousands or millions of people that have come before you. There's nothing called self-made. And then right there, as you grow, you're nurtured. And then as you try to do, you're picking ideas. There's nothing that's new to start with. Everybody who has an idea, even no matter how groundbreaking, something else that's existing sparked it in them. So the work of people who have come before you contribute greatly. And then they're just people. Everybody get helped. Everybody. Nobody's self-made.
Interesting. Let's talk about FourthCanvas. All right, you started in 2023.
Yeah,
and
inspired by FourthCanvas, by the way.
Well, beautiful. Right, and you've gone on to be powering about 8,000 plus of freelancers, businesses. Was there a gap in the African entrepreneurial circle industry that made you say, we need to create this?
First, we thought to create it because we were facing these challenges internally. We had to combine so many tools. This one for invoice, this one for contract, or we did conduct manually, and then we needed this one to manage project, this one for tasks. There was just too many tools, and we thought we don't need much. We shouldn't be using different tools to do this. There should be one simple tool that could just make this happen, and that was it. But to build for a team was more complicated, so we started by building for individuals, and it got popularly known as the thing for freelancers. But freelancers are just a small subset of who we built for. First, we built for teams like ourselves. And today we have agencies, we have consulting companies who use us, and then we have individual consultants, and then we have freelancers as well, a subset of what we're doing. So, but basically, it's a client onboarding and project management tool. People use us to do all the basic things you need to do at the beginning of any project, and then we are also able to support you through the life cycle of that. But it was inspired by we trying to automate these things internally. That was what inspired FourthCanvas basically. What you might need a team for before, you might just need one person with FourthCanvas automating some of these things and keeping the records of these clients. So yes, there was a gap. It was that so many people didn't have the tools to be professional. So many businesses didn't have the teams to be administratively efficient, and then we give them a tool by our own experience to be able to do that. So that's been it. We've had a lot of we've gone into stealth mode a lot to rebuild and to improve some things. We recently integrated AI such that you could, if you start a project, it could just suggest all the faces for you and all the tasks and describe everything, because we're 2025 and there's a lot of possible things to make us do things faster. And so, but yeah, FourthCanvas was inspired by my experience within FourthCanvas, But one of the coolest stories with FourthCanvas is that in 2015, when we were trying to name FourthCanvas, FourthCanvas was one of the names we considered.
Interesting.
It was top 3, but didn't make the final name. So we kept it. We bought the domain names and we just kept it. We thought we'll use it for something in the future. That's 2015. So by 2023, when we had this idea to build a tool, for client management and project management, we just remember FourthCanvas, a gap that is filled. There's a gap, like you said, in the space. You can lower the bar, FourthCanvas. You just had it right.
Interesting.
And then we named FourthCanvas, and it's been good. We've had a lot to learn on the job. First, at the beginning, we were labeled and perceived as a freelancer tool. But when people add freelancers, they think it's a place to get gigs, like Upwork, but we're not that. And that really derailed the marketing for a while, because now we had so many users who signed up who didn't understand, who misunderstood what they were signing up for. So, and then when they found out what it was for, they didn't quite use it, because again, freelancing in this part of the world is like a hobby or something people did in the short term while they looked for jobs. So the behavior, that tendency to want to invest in a tool is not as high as you might find in more developed companies, economies, where people could be freelance full time. So a lot of our like positioning right now is to consultants. People are like, this is what they do. Yeah, freelancers are like also very serious with it, as well as businesses. Businesses already exist. That's what they would do for a while in that sense. And we're giving them a tool to simplify the administration of things. Yeah, so it's a lot of rebirth for us, repositioning for us, while we're also launching out a lot of new things. So it's been a slow, steady journey, and we're still building for the long term. Yeah, but we've solved the problem we wanted to solve for ourselves.
Oh, great. I'm rooting for you, and I know that it's going to continue to get better.
Thank you. Let me help people, because people misconceive a lot. FourthCanvas and Fullgap are two different companies. Yeah, we share similar co-founders. Bolaji and I are co-founders at both companies. Fullgap started as an experiment inside FourthCanvas, but it's today a completely different company. There's three of us. There's Shegun, who is a co-founder at Fullgap, who is not a part of FourthCanvas, but was part of the founding team of FourthCanvas 2015, by the way. That's a nice fun fact to add.
Interesting, beautiful, nice. FourthCanvas has been around for close to a decade now. How has the design education evolved over these years? What can we do to produce more world-class designers?
Good question. Design education is largely absent, and that's with due respect to people doing small trainings in their own places. There's that, and that's commendable. But to a random person from any part of Nigeria who wants to be a designer, there isn't like some known structured way to learn design. There's a non-structured way to learn estate management. The universities are there. There's no structured way to learn architecture. We don't have the courses. What you have that's closest industrial design and the graphic design is
fine and applied arts, or maybe architecture.
They're very out of touch with what digital design is right now. So I don't know for sure that we have any federal university that is teaching design that is like up to date and relevant and useful for anyone trying to really be a designer in 2025. If we did have that, it gives everybody a higher starting point. Because what you then have now is everyone gets into design and they have to figure it out their own way. They have to do many things.
Make mistakes, try errors.
They have to work with a lot of lack of understanding of the basics. And that's real clients suffering at the end of their trial and error. That's real users of those clients also suffering, and that from not being effectively communicated to. That's like business opportunities being lost. I've been there myself, trying to figure out my stuff and then make a lot of errors in which clients also suffered from. So if we had design education, the average designer, the quality of the average designer could just be higher up. So we need people to invest in it in our own small way. In the past, over the years, we've done small pockets of training, but this year we've been in partnership with Odd School. We're producing a course with Odd School at the moment, which we've been at this all year. It's very tedious, recording, scripting, and so much. We hope it can come out this year. I think it will, and that will be our own contribution to that. And there are other ways we'll continue to, but that won't be enough, to be honest. It won't be, but it would hopefully it moves the needle to some extent. We need more people to do that. And perhaps I think we need people who could really go sit down with a particular university and help them rework their curriculum.
And get them to just add it some way, somehow.
And just rejig and rework the entire thing. I'm not ready to do that work. I don't have the bandwidth right now, but somebody needs to champion that.
Interesting. We'll be looking out for the partnership with Osco and then the course. I'm sure people would find it very valuable to take the course. So there might be Africans or just someone randomly around the world that might get to watch this. I've seen how you started with an idea, you built a company, and then you found a problem again, you built another company again, and then you've kept on going. They may have been playing around with an idea, maybe they want to start a company, and then maybe they are faced with they feel they don't have enough capacity, or they don't have the finance, they don't have the sponsors, or they don't have the investors. What advice or what steps would you advise them to start taking towards achieving whatever goal they are dreaming of? Whether it's starting a company, a venture, starting a business, or whatever, what would you have to say to them?
First, I would say document your thoughts. What do you want to do? Document it. And the best way, when people hear business plans or any of those things, they're scared. Where do I begin from? They're looking for a template. Well, I know you don't need a template. You need to answer the W and the H questions, the WH questions, which is what do I want to do? Why do I want to do it? Who do I want to do it for? WH, WH, WH. When do I want to start? What is it? Why am I doing it? Who do we want to do it for? And then there's how. How will I do it? And the how, each of these answers can be very short answers. How can be just bullet points. Don't think of any template. Just pour your thoughts on paper and then describe, you don't have money, right? But what will it be like if you had money? What would you do? Now, but you're done writing it, but you still don't have the money. Okay, what's the minimum viable version of it? There, which is, if you had money, you would do this. But without money, what's a microscopic version of that you would do? Or if you had money, you will get an influencer to an API announce. Okay, what 5 people can you reach out to who fall into the who do you want to do this for? And then at the level of that documentation, you can start to have conversations. So you're not even in business yet. So let's imagine that you want to supply, just use a very plain example, not even tech or anything complicated. You want to supply cement, for example. You don't have the money to import it, but you've written your plan. Okay, who are people who might want to buy? That who are you building this depot for example? Well, can you identify some of them? Can you start walking up to construction sites and asking, how do you currently procure your dish? Is there any challenge? I'm starting a depot soon, even though you don't have the funds yet. What might make you consider buying from me? What can I do to make your life easier? So there's a lot of inquiry to be done, and that's free. Inquiry is free. Whether it's through DM or physically walking to people, then that's from form of market research for you. You want to start a food business. What people you're trying to sell to? You have to start researching, asking questions, and then it might be easier for you to raise money for what you're trying to do if you've already gained a lot of insights. Because now you can tell the investors, in the past 3 months, I've spoken to 200 people. They've shown me that if they had a better option, they will drop where they're currently buying for and buy from me. I can confirm that there's an opportunity. The potential investor is saying that you're diligent, and you are showing them a documentation of all of these notes. And then the next question you might ask me is, okay, but where do I find investors? Investors are all around every one of us, to be honest. Well, I wouldn't say every one of us. I'm speaking from a position of privilege. But investors are not just people who have officially declared that they are investors. Anybody who you look at and you assume, this guy has more money than me, he's a potential investor. I can't spare 2 million naira, 10 million naira to start this thing, 500k to start this thing. But this guy looks like they might be able to say, maybe it's my uncle, or it's some elder in church, or some businessman that comes to wash their car next to your mom's shop. This person might have spare 500k that me I don't have. You walk up to them. Hi, my name is this. I'm trying to build this business. I've done my homework. I would like to show you. I'm looking to do this. They might ask you questions. What have you done before? And yes, if you've done anything before, please put it forward. Any form of leadership or anything you've done diligently. Were you a leader on some student campus association? Talk about, were you a class rep? Good for you if you were a good class rep. Because you have stories now of when you stood up for your mates and organized this and organized that, because all of those stories count. So I would say start somewhere. That's the easy thing to say. But what option do you have than to start somewhere?
Just start. What's the legacy you want to leave in life, whether it's via design, whether it's entrepreneurship, storytelling? What's one legacy you would love to leave in life?
That I helped good people do great things. That's what my website says. That's my mission. And that's my mission. Both from, even if they didn't know they were good people, even if they didn't yet realize that they were good people, everybody is potentially good people, actually. So to help, the real point is potential. To see potential and help people make something out of it. They are still the one that would do the work, but just just
Yeah,
help
give
people
them that
on the
leverage.
paths
Yeah.
to finding themselves, to doing better, to believing more, and I would hope to have done that at different levels. So I've done that at the level of employees, like people early stage trying to do something. So I've done that at the level of businesses who have been getting something right. Maybe it's the product itself or the service, and then we come in and bring a new component for them to present or to rediscover themselves and to make some changes, and now they achieve more. They were a good business, now they're a great brand.
Yeah.
My legacy, hopefully, would have been that I help so many good people do great things, and help so many good businesses become great brands.
Oh, thank you so much, Victor Fatanmi, for
That's a good try. Fatanmi. Yeah,
I tried that.
Yes.
I did not model too much.
No.
Thank you so much. It's been an insightful episode from the beginning to the very end. You've shared the journey, building FourthCanvas, building Fullgap, storytelling, entrepreneurship. And I know that our listeners, whether they are watching on YouTube or just maybe listening on various podcast platform, audio platforms, will find this episode valuable. Thank you very much for coming around.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Good.